Hello. Recently I decided that I wanted to do another personality exploration video. These are technically relational psychology exercises. This one is called the Island Personality Test. I'm going to read you some instructions. First of all, you need to remain relaxed. Think you can do that for me? I'm going to tell you what to imagine, and I just want you to keep track of what you see generally as the first thing you see. That's usually going to be the most genuine. It's not necessary to second guess yourself or to think that you need to see a particular thing, you should be seeing a particular thing, or that I want you to see any particular thing. You don't have to tell me your answers if you don't want to. So this is just between you and you. If that makes sense. So that's pretty simple, right? Let's give it a go. Here is the little intro paragraph, the scenario. Imagine that you are on a boat at sea. Late in the evening, when it is totally dark, your boat hits a rock. Water starts to slowly pour in from the damaged hull of the boat. The sea tosses and turns, making it impossible to bail out the water. Slowly, the boat starts to sink from the weight of the water. Suddenly, the boat lunges to one side, throwing you out of the boat into the open sea. You manage to find a life vest and stay afloat. Exhausted from your ordeal, you fall asleep. Several hours later, you are awoken by the light of a morning sun. You look about and notice that you are being swept ashore onto an island. So, not quite a relaxing intro, but we'll work with it. So here are the questions that I have for you. Where is the geographical location of the island? Where is it located? Describe what you are wearing when you are swept ashore onto the beach. Are you in tattered rags? Are you fully dressed? Are you in formal attire? Now, describe to me the island's vegetation. What sort of plant life does this island have? Is it maybe overgrown? Is it really sparse? Are you in the middle of a dry desert island? And by the middle, naturally I mean the edge, because you don't wash ashore onto the middle of an island. What sort of plant life does it have? So, next question. What is the first thing you do when you land on the island's beach? What is the first thing that you do? Do you make a shelter? Do you try to form an alliance with the crabs? do you take up the opportunity to build the single greatest sandcastle you have ever built? What do you do? You notice that a distant hill will give you a view of the entire island. You climb the hill, and from atop it, you discover that there is a clearing that is close to the middle of the island. You leave the hill and return to the beach. Then you decide that you are going to make your way to the center. You leave the beach and begin walking inland. However, most of the island is pretty heavily forested. You must make your way through the forest to the center of the island. Describe what you see and how you will get to the center of the island. Okay. So you finally made your way through the forest and have made it to the center of the island. At the center is a large clearing. In the middle of a clearing is a house. Describe the house. What does it look like? What is it made of? How tall is the house? You walk around the house, looking at it in great detail. Then you decide that you want to get a look at the inside of the house. You make your way to the front entrance. What do you see? How will you get inside the house? You walk through the house's front entrance. What is the interior of the house like? Describe it. After wandering around the inside of the house, you decide to leave it and continue your exploration of the island. You walk out into the clearing once more and then proceed further. Suddenly, you are standing in front of a body of water. Describe what you see and what do you do? After your discovery of the body of water, you continue your exploration of the island. You walk into the forest when suddenly you come across a huge wall, which extends as far as the eye can see, cutting the island in two. The wall is much higher than your height, and it is made out of stone. Look at the wall. How high is it? What do you do next? So that was the end of the island personality test. Now I shall read you what the symbolism of all of those questions is relevant to. The first question, where the island was, is meant to uncover where in the world you desire to live. For example, if you saw palm trees and tropical vegetation, you probably want to live in a warm or tropical climate. Or, if the island was more temperate and not quite as lush, maybe you aspire to live in a cool or temperate climate. The second question, what you were wearing when you washed ashore, relates how you feel about your own body. If you washed ashore with few clothes on, then you probably have a very healthy and open outlook towards your body. On the contrary, if you washed ashore fully clothed, then you probably have a more closed outlook toward your body. In other words, you may be more conservative in that respect. When you looked and noticed the island's vegetation, that is relevant for how you view life. If you saw an island that was lush and green, then you view life as rich and plentiful. Or if you saw an island that was desolate or barren, then you view life in that same respect. The first thing that you did on your island represents or expresses your priorities in life. I feel like that's sort of a given. It basically describes the sort of person you are. For example, if your first task was to look for other survivors, then you have a caring or humanitarian type of personality. On the other hand, if you wanted to find something to eat, it could mean that you are more consumed with your own survival, or more self-centered. I feel like that's a little bit of a stretch there. I don't think, no, I don't know. What do you think? When you made your way to the center of the island, that question is, that sort of describes whether your life is planned out and is the path to your goals clearly marked. If you saw an almost impossible path to the center of the island and you were nearly unable to reach the center, then it means your life is unplanned and you are going nowhere. That's pretty harsh. I'm just reading this. You are fighting life at every moment. A clearly marked path into the center indicates someone who has his or her life planned out and moves forward to achieve whatever needs to be accomplished. If you had to slowly hack your way into the center, then you are someone who has many obstacles still to face before you find your life's purpose. Yeah, I feel like those are a little extreme. The house that you saw, represents what you expect from life. What are your needs? Are your needs simple or extravagant? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know whether this question relates to what you expect to receive from life or what you think you deserve. Plot twist. How you got into the house represents life and its many barriers and obstacles. How do you handle these barriers? A locked front door, for example, is a sign that you have many difficulties in life and encounter many obstacles, many of which you cannot seem to surmount. Naturally, if you found the key, that could be significant in your interpretation as well. Even if the door was not immediately accessible, if you made it accessible, I think that's important. The interior of the house represents whether your life is highly or loosely structured, and whether you view your life as elaborate or poor. A house that has an interior with many rooms would indicate a highly structured life, whereas an interior with few rooms would indicate a loosely structured life. Also, an interior with sparse furnishings and blank walls would indicate that you view life as bleak and sparse. On the other hand, if you viewed the interior of the house richly decorated, with paintings on the walls, and so on, then you view your life as being rich and plentiful. They gotta get some more adjectives. Naturally, the water question deals with your views towards sex. To put it bluntly, I'm going to read this direct quote. To put it bluntly, if you jumped into the water, you enjoy sex and are very sensuous. If you walked around the water, you do not like sex. If you waded the water for a bit, then left, it would indicate someone who is afraid of sex. That's verbatim. Pretty cut and dry. And the last question, but not the least question, just the last one, is how, it was the wall question, if you don't remember, is how you view death. If you saw a wall that was insurmountable, then you view death as something that is unknown and something that makes you afraid. If you viewed a wall that you could climb onto the top and then look over the top, then you view life in healthy terms. You do not fear death, and you are willing to seek whatever destiny lies ahead. So that was the end of the island personality test. There's a train. I don't even know where the train is. I can't think of anywhere within... Okay, maybe within 10 square miles. But any train tracks are really far off from here. That's lame.